Have a look-see. Look at that. We're going blonde today. That's right. At my favorite coffee shop off of La Cienega in Los Angeles. Look. I got a stiff neck. We got clouds rolling in. No crowds, though. A lot to talk about. I can't even talk. You know, I got to be honest. You know me, guys. So, I didn't kid. I'm on regimen, so I get up every day at 7 o'clock. And I try to get as much work as I can done. But I don't pressure myself. I'm writing a novel right now, and I'm 57 years old, and it's my first pass at writing fiction. I'm not one of these phonies who went to, writing school and all this kind of stuff. I just started writing at a young age. I was writing girls' love letters because I grew up with all women. And it's really kind of interesting. I look for parallels, and the parallel is with the troubadours. Now, this is how women used to cheat, women of renown. And the troubadours used to write these love letters, these poetic love letters to women. And then I found out that I was nothing but a big pussy from doing it. And I got into punk rock, and I started writing punk rock songs instead, right? Because, I got some hair on my nads. I was about 15 or 16 years old. I wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to break out from under the thumb of your parental unit. Everybody does. Everybody should. Everybody needs to. And guess who the big quitter is? Take a guess, because it ain't me. You can see I'm still doing my show. I don't really care how I look. This ain't a fucking fashion show, but I always show you how I'm doing. This is how I'm living. Take a look over there. There's my pack right there. Right? I always show you how I'm doing. I'm part of the solution. I'm not part of the problem here in Los Angeles. I just moved here, right? And I don't appreciate a bunch of phonies sabotaging my car. Phonies like Joey Diaz, that's right. Joey Diaz is a big quitter. What happened, big tough guy? Let me tell you guys something. It is the end of this bullshit. I'm telling you right now. It is the end of threatening people, telling them what sets you run with, telling people they better watch out, bullying people like I've been bullied my whole life. The last place I was at was in Michigan with people who I thought were my friends. Oh, yeah. No. And there's proof. I have proof. It's on the Buzzcocks flyer for my band Grievance committee that we were supposed to be on Chaos Records. And I had, at that time, I had 20 songs easily. That could have been on a full album. It could have been on a EP. Obviously, you have to finance it with an independent record label. You kind of have to, finance it along with them. That's why 15 years later, when Disconnected Records came to me and said they want to put out my music, and Jason Clifton lied, and Jimmy Doom is involved. He's a big sissy mama's boy, just pathetic people like that. I was like, yeah, whatever you want to do. And that was before I wrote the Linoleum Blown Apart sessions. Now, all of the songs are under Linoleum Blown Apart. There is no more Grievance Committee, because what they tried to do is they tried to steal the songs by creating a Grievance Committee in Ohio. My band, Linoleum Blown Apart, played in Ohio. I was set up on a fake shoot with these Fed rats, along with Jimmy Doom at Gasoline Alley in Royal Oak, Michigan, with a guy from Ohio. Okay, and when I was in my loving parents' home, just as a divorced man, no big deal, just living my life, I was being pinged pretty hard from Ohio. And this is where a lot of the, just electronic harassment. This comes from police departments. When I moved back to Michigan in 04 era, my phone was tapped. It was hacked. And people, and sissies, I should say, like Jason Clifton and James Kenneth Graham knew all about this. These guys are online serial harassers, and it's perfect for them because they're cowards. I knew this my entire life. I got the fuck out of there in 92 when Chaos Records showed absolutely no interest in helping my band out, so I left. And I got no problem with it at all, whatsoever. I know my songs have value. You can take a look at the playlist on the Grievance GOrDIE channel. But we're shit-talking Joey Diaz for being such a pussy. The guy's in, what's it called? The Many Stinks of Newark. The Many Stinks of Newark. In case you don't know, I lived in the New York tri-state area for over 14 years. I worked with assholes like Joey Diaz. I always knew them to be a joke. They're a fucking cartoon stereotype. Just because you went to the joint doesn't make you a tough guy. And what he was doing, he was repeating the trope that they all repeat. Once you're in Club Fed, right, then you're fed a line of bullshit saying that you run with a specific crew and all that stuff. Let me tell you, this is why people like Henry Hill lived to a nice ripe old age, doing cocaine, doing whatever he wanted, having a hot young girlfriend, and outlived Ray Liotta, who portrayed him in the movies, who was also in The Many Stinks of Newark. That's right. We talk about a lot of things on this show. You gotta keep up. You gotta keep up with this show. I don't ask for donations anymore. You guys missed the boat. That's it. I look like shit today, guys. I'm sorry. It's just like, it's doom and gloom. I overslept. I was telling the young lady in here. What are you gonna do? Right, stanas everywhere. That's right. I don't mind having Q-Ops run on me because I know the feckless phonies from Royal Joke, Michigan who were involved. And, that's how I'll just wait and, find a really nice woman to be with, unlike my ex-wife, the slope-shouldered manatee of a fuddy-duddy, obsequious Philistine of daddy's little cheese puff. That's right. You know the smell of those cheese puffs? Yeah, I think you do. And again, I wasn't going to say nothing about any of this until 2022 when my own sister physically attacked me. That's right. My own sister, sadly. I had everybody turn on me, and you guys are the only friends that I have. You're not followers. You're part of the show. This show is about my creative process, and you can help me out. We are now writing We Are Martian. I'm not writing it. Okay, let me explain something. I write my novel, okay, during the day. On the show, what we do is we come up with these ideas. And I just want to give a tip of the old cup to Anheuser-Busch for completely LARPing the alt-right. Congratulations, Anheuser-Busch. You took a $9 billion you took a $9 billion hit. Good for you. In case you don't know, I came out the other side of being black-pilled. I know that the Electoral College is the one who picks the president. So a bunch of these partisans are nothing but phonies. They should all strap on a beret and change their name to Shay or Tanya. Right? I think some of you guys know about that. Patty Hearst. I want to say Paul Schrader had a hand in that film. I think so. Paul Schrader is probably my favorite director of all time. Take a look at George C. Scott. He was in Paul Schrader's Hardcore. It was a huge influence on me as a kid. I started going to cinema when I was 11 years old. And now what Anheuser-Busch did is, do you guys remember a song called Gangnam Style? You guys remember this song? Okay, anytime somebody heard the song, Gangnam Style, they started dancing around like they were riding a horse. You guys remember this? Now, the singer, don't forget, this is K-pop, guys. K-pop is huge now, right? The singer's name was Psy. For psychological, for PSYOP, psychological operation. Every single advertisement you see is a psychological operation, guys. Like it or not. Many people from the OSS started, I don't know, channels like CBS, NBC, ABC, the big three. They were all started from guys in the OSS. Time Magazine, Henry Luce, Time Life. It was called Time Life back then. Life magazine. Who was Stanley Kubrick shooting with? I don't think it was Life, but he probably shot some stuff for Life when he was a still photographer. I talk about Stanley Kubrick a lot. I can do hour-long episodes, hour-long, on every single project that I have. Okay? I can do hour-long episodes on every single project that I have. Hour-long. Even concepts that I have. And by the way, I tell you guys about my celebrity sightings. That's right. I don't go up to John Voight and get selfies when he's busy talking to children and having fun. But I don't put people down for it because I do subscribe to the Hollywood Fix. I tell you guys what I subscribe to as well. I saw Jay Farrow from SNL. And I would love to talk to him. I leave people alone. They're here in Beverly Hills or LA somewhere, just doing their thing with their friends. They don't want to pitch. I would have to catch them at the right time. I got an excellent pitch for Jay Farrow from Saturday Night Live. I think he is completely underrated. And I think he needs to do a dramatic role. That way when he's funny, and he's naturally funny, unlike me. When he is funny, then it'll pop. You understand? Then he'll be really funny, right? I always go back to Stanley Kubrick and The Shining, right? So that's one of my celebrity sightings. I saw Jessica Chastain, right stunner, just a walking pair of sticks. She's so thin. It was the funniest story. So I'm in Santa Monica, right? And I'm walking up, and here comes Jessica Chastain. Like she's like spitting distance, like right there. Oh, stunner. Now, she's walking to the vehicle, right? And I'm not kidding. I'm 10 feet away from Jessica Chastain. Right? She's like fucking awesome. She does a lot. She works a lot with, what's that guy? Michael Shannon. She's worked with him, I think, more than once. I don't know, whatever. I don't follow people's careers. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of cinema, and I'm a fan of storytelling. Okay, let's make sure that's clear. I'm not a star fucker, right? I'm just another motherfucker. So I'm looking at Jessica Chastain, and she goes to the vehicle, and her driver didn't even open the doors. I mean, he might have clicked it open, but he didn't get out to open her door. But here is her manager. Her manager is right there, and her manager looks at me. And she's looking at me like, you better not ask for a fucking autograph or a selfie, you asshole. Like, she just had that look on her face, like, don't you dare, don't you dare. But of course, it's the kind of guy I am, that's right. I worked on the set with major players back in the 90s. Unfortunately, nobody, especially from Disconnected Records or Chaos Records back in Michigan, know anything about that because they never bothered to ask me. They were never bothered to be decent enough to have a genuine conversation without being a bunch of goddamn phonies. And I name these people on this channel. That's right. I take no guff. Nobody's giving any. So Joey Diaz pussed out because he has nothing to say. I told you I worked with guys like him in New York all the time. I worked for over 10 years as a small-time actor and a production assistant. That's what you got to do to learn the quote-unquote business. And by the way, I saw a hero right here, a complete hero. Now, I would have got a selfie with this guy, but I leave people the fuck alone. That's what I do. I don't go around, if Kid Rock shows up, I don't go around calling him Bob like the people in Michigan do. Ugh. Fucking losers, man. There was a guy here, Dave. He has a book out about Star Wars. He was the merchandiser for Star Wars. His name's Dave. I'm sorry I don't have any more information. You have to look it up yourself. That's right. You got to do a little bit of homework on this show. You are part of this show. You are part of my creative process, and I want to thank you guys very, very much for subscribing. You're not followers, you're subscribers. You can participate in this show. And what we're talking about is, We Are Martian. That's right. That way I don't get a strike for talking shit about other stuff that I'm not supposed to. Hey, how am I supposed to know what the rules are unless I break them, huh? That's right. In case you don't know, I was a latchkey kid. I came up in the 1940s cinema. Can you imagine sitting at home? I'm a kid, and I get to watch all these great noir films. Grew up in Detroit, Michigan, like I said. There was a guy called Bill Kennedy at the movies. He was like very avuncular. He was like, like an uncle. Of course, he was a booze hound. He was a small-time actor introducing films. You see that all the time now, especially on AMC. Right? Is it AMC or is it TNT? I don't know what they are anymore. They change all the time. I remember when Bravo, before it was LGBT. I remember when it was supposed to be highbrow cinema. They were showing films by Polanski. Oh yeah, Polanski films and all that stuff. Now listen, here on this show, we separate the art from the artist. Okay, this is very important. Artists are nothing but human beings. I get a little sentimental. Artists are human beings. They're fallible, just like all of us. We all make mistakes. Ain't that right, Mitt Michigan? Huh? Ain't that right? Ain't that right, Mitt Michigan? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Bunch of phonies. So that's why I moved out here to Los Angeles. So you guys remember Gangnam Style, right? So every time a person heard the song from Gangnam Style, they started dancing like they were riding a horse. They started doing the dance, okay? This is psychological warfare. Now, take a look at what they're doing with Bud Light. The entire alt-right got trolled by Bud Light. I gotta say, it's fucking genius. Because now you have alleged straight guys going into the store, grabbing a Bud Light, and dancing around very feminine-like. Oh, they're just making fun of it. They're putting on dresses in order to lampoon Bud Light. What? People are LARPing dogs. They're like, he's got his dog off the leash and he's physically reprimanding him. I don't know, man. I don't know about stuff like that. In case you don't know, I talk about the eternal recurrence. Okay, some people say, they used to call it sins of the father. We talk about a lot of things on this show. And don't forget, you heard it here first. Congratulations, Anheuser-Busch, on LARPing the entire alt-right media. They took over every single headline. I mean, just nonstop. My belief system is in media deep blue. Okay? I don't use the same terminology as other people. Okay? I was born in the BC era before computers. That's how I roll. Okay? I am the real thing, not Coke or Coca-Cola. And I got other John Miley-isms. I got them in me somewhere. Jesus Christ, you try doing a show like this. So, again, I just want to say congratulations on Anheuser-Busch. I just got to keep saying it. It was really a genius move. You have grown men going around making videos in drag to be anti-drag. In case you don't know, I came up in the punk rock era in the 1980s, and everything that they're talking about is completely passé. We all had friends of all 31 flavors. We didn't care. We all knew somebody who was gay. We all knew somebody who was mixed race, multiculti. We knew everybody because we went to punk rock shows. That's what the fuck we did. We weren't metalheads at some swinging dicks, or we weren't skinheads with swinging balls. Right? And this was before Nirvana. Okay, around the time Nirvana came out, excuse me, that thickness in the air, you see, it's ruffling me feathers, ruffling me inner feathers, right? By the time Nirvana came out, I was recording what I called The Kids Don't Care Anymore. because it's one of the lines in my songs, and we sounded just like Green Day. Green Day didn't exist, okay, guys? They didn't exist in my world. I was still listening to oi punk, street punk, you know, whatever. Anyway, it hits a sore spot. But anyways, I'm moving on with my songs. I'm writing the very last punk rock TV show ever. It's not going to be like the Monkees, although that was a big influence on me. And it's not going to be like this failure of the Sex Pistols. I mean, come on, man. This shit is played out. What mine is called Linoleum Blown Apart. And I have all the songs. They're going to be re-recorded because they are demos. And it's going to be really interesting. And you're going to vacillate between this guy's 7 films and the fact that they're on TV, like I just got done saying at the beginning of this episode. They're going to watch this guy's films for free on TV, and the parents are going to remember the guy's films from going to the cinema to see them. I have films that are like Roman Polanski, films that are like Alfred Hitchcock, films that are like, obviously, Stanley Kubrick, huge influence. Right? But I'm not, I'm an old punk rocker. I'm not into hero worship. Okay? So, we're all born equal under unequal circumstances, and we all use the same honey wagon. Okay? Or porta potty, whatever it is you use. Okay? I'm an egalitarian, but I'm too intelligent to be a communist. Okay? Communism was created. We can get into that. I can talk about geopolitics on this show. We can talk about a lot of things. But I want to kind of wrap things up as far as congratulating Anheuser-Busch on fucking trolling everybody. You know how much money that corporation has? You think they give one F? Money is fluid anyways. Oh, man. Genius stuff. We haven't seen this since Gangnam Style, I'm telling you. So, what we have is something called, I think it's going to be it's going to be a double day on these. I might have to run it back to my car real quick, so I have a coffee for tomorrow, maybe. We'll see. I am the real thing. Sorry. Yeah, stop repeating yourself. I can't. I try to prep the show the best that I can. Okay. Thanks a lot for sticking with me. We're going to talk about We Are Martian. Okay? And so, again, I want to state for the record, any one of my stories or my ideas, I can do hour-long episodes. I can get into this crazy minutia of it. Okay? But I'll spare you guys. I try to keep my shows to about a half an hour. I can do a half an hour show every single day. And I will do, once this production gets up and running, probably next year. You'll see it. I'll come on, tell you guys how the production's going. I'll do interviews, no problem. And I'll talk honestly about it. Okay, because I think with these, with the advent of everybody doing a podcast now, I mean, it's kind of pathetic. And then they have these hit channels where they do hits on other people when they have a podcast. They do hit videos on them. I think the most interesting thing to do would be to kind of to get the two people on a show without an official debate. Just have a conversation. It would be great to have two people from the other side of the political divide. Okay, I was talking about George C. Scott. He was in excuse me. He was in Dr. Strangelove, and he felt his performance was over the top. I kind of felt the same way when I was working with Lee Sobel. You can look into any person that I name. You can look into them, right? He was also in Hardcore, Paul Schrader's Hardcore, and he was also in something called East Side West Side. Okay, now East Side West Side was about social workers in New York City. And it was a television serial, and they would have a different program each time, and he would have to go to somebody's neighborhood, see how they were doing, address an issue. Look at what they have now. They have some new show out, and it's about a social worker, and that's these community liaisons that's going to start happening in the future. It's going to be a government community liaison. who's going to show up and do intermediate between, say, a police officer and, right, and the state, right? So what it's probably looking like is that the police officers might get more and more militarized and ready to take you down. Because if you have the mediator, right, who's just a plainclothes person, right, community liaison, then they're going to try to work with you as best as they can if there's a problem. And all this stuff is going to be coming from your device. When these guys steal, when these guys go to, what did I watch? I don't shop any place. I'm not a Gucci shoes guy. I don't do Gucci shoes, okay? I just buy whatever I can. I always do a little fashion show. It's my fashion show. It's my shoes. I had to buy these when that failure of a friend, I needed the money back that I gave him, and he piecemealed me like the asexual. I think Andre tried to be a homosexual at one point, and he got beat up. That's what I remember about Andre, but we can get into an entire episode about him as well as other people, including, my ex-wife, anybody like that. Usually I'm protective. I'm protective of my ex-wife, and I'm protective of Yolanda, the woman who was a little bit too much like my mother, and I acted like my father one time only in my life. And I'm not going to allow for a bunch of Fed rats to give me shit about it for the rest of my life, because I will catch a case, make no mistake about it. That's how I roll. Right? Because I'm not Joey Diaz. I'm not throwing my weight around. I'm telling you exactly what it's like on the ground, what it was like in the BC era, how different it was. Right? And everybody's entitled to tell their story, and mine's a sight more interesting than most. Right? Because I am part of the Lumbee people from North Carolina, but I didn't grow up in North Carolina. I was like a Puerto Rican, and I was living in Detroit, and I got into rock and roll. And I'm still into rock and roll to this day. Guns N' Roses are getting ready to go on tour. Believe it or not, I wasn't listening to Guns N' Roses. I was listening to Oi Punk. So let's get I was listening to Stiff Little Fingers. Okay, a lot of my songs are on my playlist on the Grievance GOrDIE show. Okay, always check the description. I got a lot of scrumptious, yummy things in there. I don't think you can donate anymore, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't really care. I don't need your money. I started paying taxes in 1978. Okay. We're going to try to keep it a short one. Joey Diaz goes down like a hooker on a fucking Saturday night. What a pussy. I know guys like that. They like to throw their weight around and shoot their mouth off. Yeah. They ain't got nothing to say. That's what I'm saying. I told you I could do this. Okay, so we created what's known as We Are Martian. Now, take a look at Orville. There was a show called Orville. I'm a big fan of Seth MacFarlane. Huge fan. Okay? I'm more of a fan of his than many other animators. You guys know him. And then there was Orville. Terrible name. Just the worst. I don't know how they actually tested that name and went with it. I mean, it's just terrible. The show's probably really good, but they did another one with the guy from House. House. The guy from House. Hugh Laurie, I think his name is. Don't forget, House was the personification of Medical Deep Blue, and that's all I could say about it. Medical Deep Blue came from Deep Blue. Deep Blue was a chess player, right? That was the self-learning chess game that Hal was playing in 2001. That was called Deep Blue, and later on it came out to win Jeopardy. I think. Did it win Jeopardy or maybe not? I think it won just a chess game or something like that. Whatever. Right? And it's what we know today as, games. Video games. I don't play them. Last time I played video games, I had to stand up and put a fucking quarter in the thing. Right? Like I said, when we were doing small-time crimes in my neighborhood, and it wasn't against when I said a pizzeria, it was a chain pizzeria. It wasn't no mom and pop shops. We never would rip off any mom and pop shops. You know what I mean? I made sure I broke into I brought a crowbar and I broke into the game because I knew there was a bunch of quarters in there. I broke into a Pac-Man machine, a sit-down Pac-Man machine. Whatever. Take a look at my episode about. Take a look at my episode about. Take a look at my episode about Clockwork Orange, it's called. I talk a little bit about that. I make parallels in my real life to certain narratives because I understood intrinsically that we are an archetype. We fit an archetype. And people like Carl Jung understood that, we have these archetypes and these preconceived notions. And so what Freud and Jung did is they took philosophy and mythology and religion, don't forget, and they turned it into a science. That was their job. And so by the end, Jung went more into the mystical sense, which is what I've been about. I had a book called The Great Beast. I had a first edition of The Great Beast. It was a book about Aleister Crowley, and I had that. I found it in a bookstore, and I was in my 20s. Right? So in case you don't know, I'm a Gary Lachman man. Check out Gary Lachman's work. Lachman. He played bass in Blondie. He wrote a hit song and he never had to work again in his life. And he decided to go to Oxford. And that's where he went. So, anyways. So we have this notion of us and that we're born, like I said, when the movable stars are in a fixed position. There's 12 zodiac signs and each one is an archetype, and that's what they're getting at. They're saying that this is your predestination. This is your cloak you have to wear. This is your cloak. You see? Right? Our meat bag. This is the cloak we have. Okay? Doesn't matter. We're born into it. You can't do nothing about it. We know that. And I don't care how much plastic surgery disasters you go through, right? I don't care how much trout pout you have. Back in my day, the only person with trout pout was Keith Richards, singer. I should say Charlie Watts is a singer. The drummer Charlie Watts is singer. Was the only one with trout pout. Anyway, so we're born into this, okay? And this is our predestination. This is it, right here. I'm predestined to do whatever it is that happens in my life, right? And so what religions did is they said, you can shed this cloak. Put your cloak on the cross. Hang it up on the staff, right? Take off your cloak. You can take off your cloak if you believe in something beyond this Gucci shoes reality. That's all it is. Can you believe in something beyond this Gucci shoes reality? I don't think most people can. And I call those people obsequious Philistines. Why? Because they don't use their discernment. Okay? I'm 57 years old. I'm Heinz 57. That's what I call myself, right? In my opinion, you don't know shit from shoe polish. You can't tell me jack. You couldn't say shit if you had a mouth full of it, son. Because I ain't the one, right? And I'm not here to debate anybody, but I can have a conversation with anybody. And if I called you out, you're welcome to come on my show and redeem yourself. Because you don't need religion to change. We become redeemed through growth. Now, did you ever consider the fact that Moses, when he was holding the tablets, is the same as the emerald tablets of Thoth? Nobody's made this connection as far as I can see. I'm the only one who's making this connection. We are a rough-hewn stone. And at the end of our life, we are a polished gem. We are supposed to be a gem. It doesn't matter if it's a gemstone or if it's gold, whatever analogy you want to make. Okay? So all of what I'm saying here is going into we are Martian because we are creating this together. Right? So knowing this, I don't care. Religions are about community. Boy, you should have saw the dames yesterday. Oh boy. I think they were from Iran or Iraq. I'm sorry, somebody mentioned it. I don't know which one. They're butted up against each other. They're very close. I know the cultures are different. Gorgeous women. Oh, there's like 3 of us were sitting there. Oh, no wonder my neck hurts this morning. Right? So it's about community, right? I'm an American citizen. I can pay a nut of about $3,000 per month when I go back to work as a truck driver. I could pay that nut. I could pay a mortgage, $3,000 a month. I could have a beautiful wife from another country who appreciates an American guy like me. Unlike the slope-shouldered manatee of a fuddy-duddy, obsequious Philistine of daddy's little cheese puff, who I never asked once, anything about her. I just knew her from the 1990s. I knew we had worked together. I knew we had a little relationship together, and I knew she needed help. And I don't appreciate having technology used on me to melt my fucking brain and having suicide ops run on me, just like Roseanne Barr. Always take a look at my playlists. I spill out everything. These people tell on themselves. That's why all these plainclothes cops, they can't hold a secret, right? They watch my shit through the cloud, and then they have to tell on themselves, right? Well, we know this. 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead, right? People are going to fucking say something. People are going to talk, right? So just to wrap it up, we know that religion said, well, we're in a fixed position. The stars are in a fixed place, the movable stars, the planets. Then you take a little piece, right? You have the 7 deadly sins. Those 7 deadly sins correspond to those 7 heavenly bodies that form an attribute. You're going to have what's it called? Concupiscence, right? Instead of libido, it used to be called concupiscence, just like Cupid, right? You're going to have a libido based on Venus. You're going to have a temper based on Mars. You're going to want to go to war. And you're going to have a little bit of each one of these planets that are in that fixed position coming down, right? Some more than others, right? You could see the personality types. Some guys are a little bit more aggressive than others, right? And then you also have nature, right? Then you have nurture, right? How you're brought up and all that comes into play. And don't forget, my mother was physically attacked because of our alleged race, when people don't even know what race is, because we were Lumbee Native. That's right. And we weren't from the area. A woman specifically home wrecked us. She took our father out of our home after about 10 years of marriage, maybe more, I don't know, 13 years of marriage, and pulled him out of our home, left my mother with 4 kids on welfare. And now all of a sudden my dad's out of our house, out of our life. He doesn't know what to do. This woman dumps him, obviously, as the women in my life had dumped me. And that's what I talk about, the sins of the father, the eternal recurrence. You keep playing this out over and over and over again, right? This is why I have to do a show every day, guys. Look, we're at the 40-minute mark. I can keep going. I have no problem with it. And I want to thank you guys very, very much for watching. I really, truly appreciate it. I live on the streets of LA. I show you my life every single day. I get up, I shave. I'm part of the solution, not the problem. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. If I want to, then it's there, right? There's other channels with more hits. I'm not here for hits, right? What am I here for, right? Gucci shoes? So just to wrap it up, in case you guys don't know, in case you're here for the first time, We Are Martian is the story about 1,000 years. It's very similar to Star Wars. Now, don't forget, Joseph Campbell was part of the required reading list when I joined. I didn't join the Atlantic Theater Company, but they were nice enough to include me for a month, I think, in a summer program. And I got a suggested reading list, and it's my life, and I've been reading it, and like, your education doesn't stop in school. So when you see these phonies crying about kids' education, it's up to the kid to get the fucking education. Look at me. I barely made it out alive. Right? School didn't. Once school's over, I actually learned more because I was able to go to the libraries and study things that I actually was interested in. This is the BC era before computers. So the story of We Are Martian is what we work on here. And so what I talk about is my own life. I'm not trying to say that I'm harder, smarter, better, faster than anybody until you prove me different, like the sissies in the New York, not New York, but the Michigan punk rock scene. Bunch of phonies. Boy, it's done. They're everywhere. They got a modeling agency right over there. It's not a bad place to hang out. I banged a few models, and some of them were even women. So, that's an oldie but a goodie. So that's what we're working on here. We're actually working on a story, and because if you go back in time, you'll see that Linoleum Blown Apart was worked out right here on this show. God willing, I'll be able to have another story up for you guys on Kindle. If something happens and I'm kicked off Kindle, then I'll have to put it up for free on like one of these stupid blogging sites, whatever. I had to do that before. Guys, you gotta separate the art from the artist, man. I mean, I'm a creative type. I'm not a fucking accountant. I don't run a website. I don't run a record label. And I promise not to run you guys. So thank you very much for watching my show. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know.